Welcome back. Today we have the conclusion of the interview with Sharran, the president of TELUS Properties. Want to know how to take your business from $250 million to $2.5 billion? Well, Sharran can tell you how to do that. In today's episode, we're going to talk about risk reversal and how to meet your goals. Also, he talks about the common traits successful people have, the thing that you've been waiting for.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. If you were flat broke tomorrow, what would you do?
If I were flat broke, I actually loved one of the answers a guest that you had on the show said previously. If I were flat broke tomorrow, man, I would do whatever it took, number first, to take care of my family. And if that meant that I would work, that I would flip burgers or make pizzas or wash cars, I would do that. I would do whatever it took, number one, to just take care of my family. And second, I would hustle so hard. And I think, there is the fastest way to getting back up on your feet is a 100% commission-based sales business. So I would walk into, say, a car dealership and say, if I brought, if I brought you 15 people that were interested in buying a Honda Civic today, what would you pay me? And kind of do a 100% risk reversal where there was no risk on their part. And I took on all the risk for my effort and build a business that way and build the base that way so that I can get back on my feet and create a business from start. But I think the number one thing that I love when I have interns or college students email often asking for jobs with these big salaries. And recently I had one guy that came in and said, only if I do X, Y, and Z to benefit your business, do you have to pay me? And man, we hired that guy in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And so
you think the same way, I think. I said, if you ever wanted to go work for Goldman Sachs, you didn't have the grades, you didn't go to the right school, go in there and offer to clean the waste paper baskets. Just get in the door. And then when it's quitting time, you stay and you work all night and you learn from everybody that you can.
Yeah, and I think what you're hitting on is the work ethic will win, right? There is the world is very generous to good work ethic. And I truly believe that. Yes, are you and I going to become Richard Branson with great work ethic? Probably not. We need great partners. We need great supporters. We need a lot of grace. But for sure, you're never ever going to have a shot at ever becoming a Richard Branson without great work ethic.
Yeah,
that's just never going to happen.
Just do whatever it takes, whenever.
Yeah, and the one concept that you mentioned, Thor, was I just love the concept of risk reversal. We use that in a lot of our client meetings. I love risk reversal because the only reason that someone doesn't buy from you, the only reason that someone doesn't hire you, the only reason someone doesn't want you to represent them is because they are worried in their mind about something. It's not an objection. They believe that there is some risk.
Yeah.
A risk maybe because that it'll jeopardize a relationship with a family member. A risk because of something else. If you can find So I talk to all our agents about this. The appointment that you have in the living room to get a client to work with you to list their home, or when you're working with a buyer and consulting them to buy a home, it's all about risk reversal. They feel that there's some risk when it comes to working with you, and you have got to sense that. And as soon as you can reverse that risk, you win.
Yeah. All my programs, I've got to produce a 300% ROI or it's free. Period.
Right. Yeah.
Period.
Talk about a risk reversal, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just, if you're going to invest in me, I've got to be fully engaged and I have to get you the results. Why? Because I need you out there just going crazy about what I'm doing. I don't want you to be, oh yeah, it was okay. I want you to be absolutely on fire.
Yeah, and Thor, I don't know if you've heard of this. I think from a tools, tips, and strategies, there is a great, probably one of the best one of the best articles I've read you wouldn't even call it a book. It's probably 4 or 5 pages. It is called 1,000 Raving Fans, or 1,000 True Fans. It's called 1,000 True Fans is the name of the article, and it's by Kevin Kelly. He's the founder of Wired Magazine. And he says something very similar to what you just said, which is, you don't need 1 billion customers to create $1 billion company. You only need 1,000 true fans. And he creates this concept, and he talks about the virality of this concept in today's world of 1,000 true fans. And so anytime, we're talking to entrepreneurs, we're talking to folks that we're investing in, I always ask them, hey, tell me about your 1,000 true fan strategy. And they're like, what are you talking about? Or if they know about it, I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just looking for how they can get to that critical mass. And amazing, amazing article, Kevin Kelly, 1,000 True Fans.
Awesome. I will look that up. If you had an hour to interview anybody, dead or alive, who would it be, and what would you ask her or him?
I would. There are two people that I would love to interview, and love to spend as much time as I can with. I've been reading the autobiography or the biography of Ben Franklin by Walter Isaacson, and talk about a founding father, talk about an entrepreneur, talk about someone who had such an impact on a country, the country that we live in today, that no one really knows about. It's Ben Franklin just created so much for this country, and my question to Ben Franklin would all be about how to create this entrepreneurial psychology. Just questions about, how do you create partnerships? How do you create the cycle? Because Ben Franklin did something where he bridged the gap between from politics and business. He did something that was so amazing that no one in the history of American politics has been able to do. And I'd love to ask Ben Franklin that question. And number two, there's a lot of people may or may not know this person. His name is Buckminster Fuller. They call him
he's awesome.
Bucky is something else.
Yeah, if you don't know Bucky, you got to research this guy.
It's hard to read Bucky from time to time, but what Bucky
he's brilliant.
Oh my goodness. Bucky thought about the world before the world thought about the world. And I would it would be a daisy chain of questions kind of talking to Bucky about how he thinks about what's coming next. I think what Bucky did beautifully was he had this ability to not think linearly, but not even think exponentially, but Bucky thought in culturescape shifts. And that's what we don't get, right? And I think if we, Thor, you and I are, we're somewhat digital immigrants. When we went through school, we had calculators, I guess, but we didn't have what today's kids have. Our children are digital natives. That's not a linear progression whatsoever. And just understanding kind of that seismic shift, that culturescape shift is super powerful. And there's I'll throw a third one in there. I've been reading a lot about. I've been reading the Book of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and it's deep. It's a lot of Stoic philosophy in there. It just talks about just how to center yourself and how to not let the world around you kind of mess with your zen and mess with your chi. So questions around kind of how to keep your cool when you get angry and frustrated, how to keep your eye on the prize. That would be, Marcus Aurelius, man. It's the Book of Meditations, great recommendation if you really want to step it up, and it'll put you to sleep too. So it's definitely can have the dual effect of getting you mentally strong as well as give you a good night's sleep.
All quantum leaps come as a result of a time in our life where we stop something, and it's in a moment that we make that shift. Can you bring us back to a time where you decided to make a shift in your life, and what kind of brought you to that moment, and what changed, and why?
It's actually a fun story, a story that I think of often. I think of fondly. When I was working with Goldman Sachs, I had a chance to advise a lot of entrepreneurs. And I loved all I did all day was help entrepreneurs and management teams build and grow their businesses so that they can help exit them and unlock value from them. And Thor, what I realized, I loved my clients' business a lot more than I loved the business that I was in. And that just was so hard for me because I loved to watch and revel in my clients just their ability to operate, build, take risks, and grow a business. And I was on the advisory side, advising them on how to unlock value, protect their assets, and manage and invest.
And it's fun because we can see it from a different angle.
Right.
So many times they can't see it.
Right. And I think a lot of my partners are phenomenal advisors. They're still in the investment advisory business. But I just saw this calling where I believed that I really wanted to be an operator. I really believed that I wanted to chart my path and chart my destiny. And I wanted to create something that can add value, that can change lives. And that I was not brave enough to accept that I wanted to do that. But then when the opportunity at TELUS came along, with my now partner, my former mentor, for us to kind of take this on as a investment turnaround play, it was a powerful thing because it gave me that chance to be an operator and not just be on the advisory side anymore. And I'll tell you this, something seismic has to happen for me to ever go back to being an advisor, because I love being in the operator side of the business.
Well, you're such a great operator.
Well, thank you.
You really are. If you had 90 seconds to leave advice for your child, what would it be?
Should probably have that rehearsed. I should probably have that practiced.
Well,
right?
I don't give out the questions ahead of time, so.
I should no, not. I didn't mean it that way. I think that's a powerful enough question that is something that the world can turn anywhere, anytime, upside down. And for us,
hey, dude, I just interviewed the last guy off of flight 1549 a couple days ago. Just dropped today, and everybody on that plane thought that was their last moment. Right.
Wow. I mean, that's what I meant. Is that's such a solid, profound question that I should have thought. That's something that I want to take away and think about it. But I'll tell you, I'll answer it by saying this. One of the most profound things that my father did, which I don't even think he realized he did. A lot of times he would pull me aside when no one was looking and just at home, and he would cup his hands around my cheeks and say, "Hey, Sharran, life has great plans for you." He'd say, "Life." He'd look in my eyes and he'd say, "Life has great plans for you." And I will tell you this: if I asked him today, my dad and I have a phenomenal relationship. If I asked him today, did he remember doing that? He probably wouldn't even know that he did that. But he did that so many times that it's one of those things in my life that's always kept me going, because in tough times, when I close my eyes, I picture my dad, hold with his hands cupped around my cheek saying, "Sharran, life has great plans for you." And I find myself, Thor, doing that to my son, Neil. It's probably not as a parent, in public situations or at home. But a lot of times if I'm walking with him, if I'm just grabbing him out of the pool, I find myself cupping my hands around his cheeks and saying, "Neil, life has great plans for you." And if that's something that I can leave him with, that can give him that kind of North Star, I think that I've done my small part of being a good dad.
Well done. Talking about being a great dad, if you had the opportunity to go back and talk to the 13-year-old you, what would you tell him?
I would tell him not to be the jerk that he was. But Thor, I remember that 13-year-old me. I remember that guy. I remember that kid. I remember that scared kid. I remember that kid that wanted everybody's acceptance. I remember that kid that that didn't have the confidence that came from within. I remember that kid that wanted the validation, the honoring, the support, the congratulations, the pat on the back. And I remember that kid, and I would tell that kid, you don't become somebody by going through these experiences. You create that future for yourself. You create the intention so that you can step into the future that you want to have. Because I really do believe today that we can have a life by design. We can have a life by intention. We can have that intentionality really drive our path forward. And that's where the psychology really comes in. People think it's hokey, but when you tune into it, it's so powerful that focus and that obsession consumes you in such a positive way. And I was not focused. I was just distracted as that 13-year-old kid. And man, I would tell that kid to create that life by design. and hopefully he'll end up in the same place I am today.
Great. Any parting advice for the listeners?
I want to, the biggest parting advice I have is I've seen one thing and one thing alone that has been a common trait with all the people that I really admire and that have been extremely successful. And all of them have a very strong personal personal mantra or personal execution strategy. For me personally, it is those three fundamentals. It is when I get stuck, I go back to, hey, what's my singularity of focus? What's my cadence of accountability? And how do I create a good process that drives good results? And my advice would just be, as you're listening, what is yours? What is yours? And is that something that you can hold on to that will carry you through great times, that will carry you through tough times, and that you can give to other people that will carry them through great times and tough times as well?
I can't believe that came at the end. We almost missed that. If I hadn't asked the question, would he have gone without giving us that?
I don't know.
Well, give the listeners, if anyone's in California, is in the marketplace for buying a new luxury home, give them some of your contact information.
Oh, thanks. This is the fun part. So, Thor, our company's name is TELUS Properties. We have 22 offices as far north as Carmel, down up and down the California coast, as far south as Coronado and Island in San Diego. Headquartered in Beverly Hills. We're in 5 counties. And so if there's anything that we can do, it's actually not just California or national and international. We like to be kind of the gateway to all clients, every single person in this country or in the world thinking about buying, selling, and investing in real estate. So the one thing that we do, may not just be California, Thor, is if anybody has a real estate need, a real estate question, the principles, the mechanics may be different in the state or country that you're in, but the mindset and philosophy is the same. And the best part, what we can do is we can counsel you through that process. And even better, we can find the right agent or the right professional in your marketplace if you don't know them and help you partner with them to get you what you want. So regardless of where you are in the world, if there's an opportunity for us to help you, of course, at no cost to you, help you kind of find and consult and find that right person in your marketplace that can help you if you don't know that person, we'd be very happy to do that because we have a pretty wide network that we can match people up with. And it's telusproperties.com.
Well, Sharran, I am honored and privileged to call you a friend. And if it is true that you become like the people you spend time with, I know great things are in store for me. I know the listeners are going to get so much out of today's episode. Thank you very much. Man, the value that you brought was just absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Thor, thank you. And hopefully your listeners realize the amount of time, effort, and kind of conscientiousness that goes into putting all this together. And you do this with so much grace and so much heart with nothing in return. And a lot of great things come to you, my friend. Whatever I can do to be helpful to you and anyone listening, I'm very happy to do. Yeah,
the returns are all those emails and text and just all the notes of what this podcast has meant for people. That's my payday. So thank you.
Yeah, everyone should go and do the subscribe and do the 5-star review. I think that's what they should do.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Awesome. Thank you, Thor.
All right. Are you truly living your potential? Are you getting the results that you need, want, and desire? There was a time in my life where I was not, and I needed answers. For the last 16 years, I've been obsessed with the question of why some people achieve massive results and others do not. And I found out that it comes down to one thing: execution, and the ability to take your ideas and plans and dreams and turn them into reality. That led me to the question, what are peak performers doing that others are not doing? How do they think? How do they act? What is behind the science of execution? I have now uncovered the secrets to the science of execution, and I want to share them with you. I have an intensive 3-day event called the Business Execution Summit. If you are truly committed to taking your game to the next level and mastering the science of execution, the most important skill that you will ever acquire, simply take your phone and text the word BE Summit, one word, to 41411, and I'll send you out some additional information on our upcoming event. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already done so, please head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. Also, please share this with family, friends, coworkers, or anyone that could benefit from this information. To make it very easy to share these episodes, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode that you want to share, and you can post it to your timeline. You just might be helping one of your friends on Facebook by sharing it on your page. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. The email is info@thorconklin. While at the website, please sign up for our weekly newsletter with additional tricks, tips, tools, and psychology on how to be a peak performer. Remember, these episodes are anywhere between 6 and 35 minutes and are meant to be consumed during dot time doing other things. Until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.